This is a reinterpretation of a Swedish folk story that was originally translated by Anna Wallenberg. I, James, have taken the time to reorganize this in a way that seems to make more sense for me. This is not a comment on the original work, just an adaptation. That being said, a lot of the themes and concepts in this intro are not representative of the Uncharted North Network and how we personally feel. It just was part of the story to keep it in, and it felt disrespectful to remove it. Part 2. Dear daughter, where are you? Seemed to reverberate through Lars's mind as he stood there frozen with one foot in the stirrup. The woman in the ditch shouted up to Lars, "Dear young man, that is my mother's voice, and she's looking for me. Please help. I will give you as many gold coins as you want." The woman in the ditch produced a heavy-looking bag of golden coins. Lars was shocked at the sight of so much gold, but he knew, like all those in his village knew, and he replied, "Such a creature in the middle of the forest with so many gold coins. I know you. You are a troll." And Lars immediately mounted his horse and took off at full speed. As Lars drew closer to the edge of the woods, he saw 7 pines lined up and remembered the troll had mentioned these. She had wanted their resin to help with her wound. He quickly decided to keep going. After all, he couldn't be late or he would lose Lisa forever. As his horse finally broke through the trees, he heard the haunting voice in his mind again. Dear daughter, where are you? But he ignored it again and kept on his path. But the voice seemed to haunt him. With every stride of the voice, he heard it repeat in his mind. Dear daughter, where are you? Realizing this would haunt him for all of his days, he heaved a defeated sigh and turned his steed around. Lars quickly collected the resin from the 7 pines and rushed back to the ditch, hoping to be rid of the haunting wail. In a single motion, he pulled his horse up beside the ditch and emptied the collection of resin onto the troll's legs. It landed on the wound, and the troll was relieved of pain. And so was Lars, as the voice in his head stopped wailing. Knowing he was very, very late at this point, he whipped his steed around and sped off towards his love's house. He lowered himself in the saddle and pushed his steed as hard as he could, riding as fast as the horse would take him. Hey there, creatures, and welcome to Encounter This, a podcast exploration of the creatures from Pathfinder 2nd Edition and the lore that surrounds them.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Encounter This Trollvember Part 2. That's French listeners for 2. I am your host, Freeman Reese-Eiston. And today, joining me, per usual, is, of course, James Bjorkfolk Kid. I have no idea what either of those nicknames are. I mean, usually we don't anyway, I suppose. That's nothing new. We're going to be covering some more trolly goodness here on Part 2. And if you want to follow along with what we're going to cover today, you can pull open your bestiary number 1, page 315. And if you happen to have one of the newer books, Rage of Elements, you can pop it open to page 216 as well. And more spoilers ahead. We will be talking more about some stuff, some creatures, some trolls that appear in the Kingmaker adventure path. But it will be spoiler free other than that, and whatever abilities kind of evoke some imagery of the situation. But yeah, let's pop into. Hello, James. Do you want to say something?
Hey. No, you're killing it. I got no
All
notes.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. We've got lots of we got I would say an extensive reading list here, but it seems like an interesting one. We will be covering some of the folklore and mythology today as well.
Yep.
So that's exciting. But because we've broken up the format, like I warned everyone before, we are going to jump more into Pathfinder lore again, and we are going to talk about the Troll King. And we discussed the Troll King in part 1, which is basically on the uncommon occasion. There are trolls that find a way to survive longer than their usual life expectancy, and they might find themselves with a few additional skills and cunning that leads them into leading other trolls into small bands and little tribes and that sort of thing. So of course they predictably become much harder and more harder to kill and more deadly of themselves, and such to the point where they can literally shake off acid and fire. That is yeah, we'll get to that. That is affecting them.
I sure hope so.
And they can also sort of willingly activate the regeneration in a way on command. Not to mention that they have developed a bestial roar that can shake everything within 100 feet of it. So, as a result, these trolls usually end up able to rally other trolls to follow their leadership, as you can imagine, because very impressive feats, particularly for a troll. And the leadership involves, like I said, some extra cunning and the natural philosophy of keeping their friends close and their enemies closer. And that is because troll kings are known that if there is even the lightest whiff of mutiny, it is met with swift and fatal ends for the potential usurper. They brook no quarter, as it were, for such nonsense.
I mean, it all adds up with what we know so far about trolls. So,
and
sense.
I don't mind. And I don't mind telling you that is all the Troll King lore.
Okay.
You have to tag it on to all of the other stuff we did part 1, of course. But that is the only real addition that they offer here, other than the stat block, of course. The other thing I want to talk about today, though, is a very strange offshoot. I kind of plugged it into this episode because the next episode is going to cover some loose themes that work together. In this case, we're going to look at a creature that is, well, it's got the troll trait, I'm pretty sure, and it looks like a troll, but it is vastly different in many ways. Maybe actually some of them are like it's almost like a really cool reinterpretation of a troll. In some of its classic elements, but kind of reworking them in a way, especially in the stat block, which we'll get to, of course. But let's talk about what is known as the Nightwood Guardian.
Do we have an image for this? Should I pull that up?
Oh, yeah. Actually, put up the Troll King. Put up the Troll King. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Looks no less vicious than the previous troll. Armored, big old club.
Yeah,
big old club. Looks like it's made of the jawbone. I think it's a jawbone of like a crocodile or something.
Yeah.
But it looks brutal. It's got little trophies on it. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. But it looks a lot like just the common troll, as it were.
Yeah.
Very very much not specifically not a frost troll or a cavern troll or whatever. Just very very troll-esque.
Classic. It's a little more canine looking than the classic troll, in my opinion, but it's still got those weird stubby legs that lowers its center of gravity. So
yeah, the face kind of gives it a little bit of a canine look, eh?
Yeah.
But the Nightwood Guardian, we switched that one. This is a really also classic troll, but in a very different style. Very different style.
Yeah.
It's got that moss like growing on its back or vegetation of some kind. Carrying a big old wooden branch club and a shield. So these basically they're kind of barely a troll in a way. Obviously the inspired aesthetic, like I said, they have the trait. But it's worth mentioning not just because of the feeling of obligation with the trait and everything, but also there really is like a sort of mechanically speaking that neat reinterpretation that we're going to get to. And lore-wise, we're looking at a creature that actually comes from the plane of wood, which is one of the new kind of planes that's been explored in the Rage of Elements. Yeah. So plane of wood and plane of metal were the newest ones to be added to the traditional four, and so in particular, these creatures come from a place in the plane of wood called the Night Woods, which is a location permanently bathed in darkness, which is notable due to the complete lack of any fluorescent plant life in the area. The flora and fauna in the Night Woods actually require the darkness to survive instead of light. And these troll-like Nightwood guardians patrol and guard the Night Woods to ensure it remains in darkness and that light never touches it. So they consider themselves to be very righteous guardians and don't have time for pretty much any excuses at all. They'll go after intruders or residents alike if they start pulling at some light. They loathe the light, even though it does not have a dramatic harming effect on themselves, at least not compared to the other creatures in plants that live there. But they get ragey pretty quick. Light and intruders are basically the two things that make a night guardian wary and even fearful. But the fear very quickly turns into wrath, and they will be really good at exacting destruction to drive out this said danger. There's a little sidebar added to this creature too, though, that's kind of fun. Although it makes me wonder where the line crosses with the material plane in the plane of wood. You'll understand why in a sec, because there are tales of a rare gentleness that the Nightwood Guardian might show when a child becomes lost in the forest. And they may apparently safely guide the child back to home and safety and out of the dark and danger of the woods. Though there are, of course, always some naysayers that say that this can't possibly be true unless, because they can be such violent creatures. Surely they aren't doing it unless they are being commanded to do so by some other more powerful creature. But yeah, it's a little kind of like, small village story almost kind of thing added to that.
Yeah, I like that. It makes sense to me too. Like they're not intrinsically ruthless or evil creatures, it seems.
No.
So having the wherewithal, and maybe we'll see later in the stat block, the intelligence or wisdom, I guess would probably be the more accurate one, to understand that a child doesn't really, in my experience, my very limited experience, is pretty much incapable of malice until a certain age. So it just guides them back and hopefully puts them on the right track to protecting and loving the forest like we all should.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, don't children up to a certain age like they just completely lack empathy. So it's like they can't really. They're just hyper selfish beings to a certain point. So they're not like, it's not malice, it's not cruel intent, but sometimes it's maybe they're in there like stomping on some flowers, and this Nightwood Guardian's just like, all right, come on, you little shit, let's go. Let's get you back to the edge of the forest line.
Get out of my house.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's it for Pathfinder lore. These two creatures, pretty quick and simple, especially compared to the last one. So I'm going to switch the hot seat here with James and let him run us through the mythology and folklore, which I'm pretty stoked about. I can't wait to hear about these.
I guess this episode is going to follow more of a traditional path, except we're jumping around pretty drastically here.
Yeah.
So we're mythology and folklore. When we first sat down to do this, I thought this was going to be expansive, and there is quite a bit out there. But in my limited research, it all seems to be evolutionary. So we'll start with Norse. We'll get into Scandinavian and Dutch and Norwegian lore, but it all seems to kind of have evolved from Norse lore, and you'll see how that comes into play as we continue down the road, I think, or at least if I've written it that way, you'll see how it continues.
Sure.
So Norse, we'll start with the etymology. In Norse, troll and troll means fiend, demon, werewolf, jotun. It's, it really flows through to mean anything that's in an intrinsically evil being or something to be wary of. It wasn't really broken out into a definition that we know until Middle German, troll and trolle. They mean fiend specifically in Middle High German, but this is almost certainly borrowed from Old Norse. There is no records to confirm that, but the words are essentially the same. So the description of the troll depends on the source because this is folklore and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout most of the sources, they're ugly and slow-witted. They look and behave exactly like humans, and sometimes they can be a landmark. So a troll that is turned to stone after sunlight exposure. And this goes through most of the cultures that we're going to talk about today.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Except for that last one. That doesn't apply to Norse, which we'll just jump into right now.
Okay.
So, like we touched on in the etymology, trolls mean a whole lot of things in Norse mythology. So it's thought that originally the term troll was a catch-all that applied to all the Jotnar, which are the supernatural beings, which are the Jotun, the trolls themselves, the Risi, which is the Norse giants, and the Purs, which are giants, ogres, monsters, that can kind of be used to describe various beings. But it is theorized by scholar Lotte Mats that there were once 4 distinct classes of being, though this is now currently being disputed. So Jotun were thought to be the lords of nature. Trolls were thought to be the magical beings or magicians. Prus were the hostile monsters of things that attacked villages. And the Risi are the heroic or courtly beings that eventually kind of became the Asgardians.
Oh, okay.
So this particular, the Lotte Mats definition of trolls live in isolated mountains, rocks, and caves, and can sometimes form a family unit of sorts, but it would always be father and daughter and mother and son. It would never, the gender lines never cross.
Okay.
And these trolls are rarely helpful or friendly. And keep in mind, these aren't what we think of as trolls. These are just magical human beings.
Yeah, I'm getting that vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could almost hear, just feel like I could hear just the word troll being used by, just people living in that Norse world, and just like, oh, it's, kind of telling a fairy tale, and they just sort of like dropping these in, and they'd just be such familiar words. And it's like, I almost feel like I could hear it as a really fun, disconnect from how we constantly hear it now, something that's just so very, very different.
And this image here, this is the Skog troll, illustrated by Theodor Kittelsen in around 1858, and it comes from a book called Norwegian Folktales, originally published in 1841 by Peter Christian Bjornson and Jorgen Moe. We'll have links to all that stuff in the description, the novel, and including both of those authors. It's just a collection of Norwegian folktales. And then I just love this illustration. It's this
really cool
of a creature with a single glowing eye, trees growing on its head. Like it is this giant. So you can tell it's from a later translation or later stories because of the size of the troll. But I wanted to plug it in here because it is technically from a book called Norwegian.
Yeah.
Folktales.
It is super cool. I actually really love that image. That is just, it just with the trees on top of his head, just really giving you that perspective of how large this thing might be. And then, and then sort of that, nondescript kind of moss or hair, or is it vegetation, or is it an entire forest? And it's like all blended together. So it's not, it's not giving you all these like tiny details. It's really making you wonder, what is all of that? Is it an entire forest on its head? Is it part of the forest? Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, so we'll come back to the Norwegian trolls, but this is what I wanted to bring this up because this is the image that I think of when I think of trolls, is something along this line, this massive moss-covered creature. So again, we'll get back to this when we get to Norway, but I just wanted to make sure the juxtaposition between this and Norse mythology was pretty clear.
Sure. Yeah.
So next we're going to get into Scandinavian lore, which almost undisputedly comes after Norse lore. So they built everything from Scandinavian lore on top of the original little bit of Nordic lore, or of Norse lore. So they're described as a very specific type of being. which we can see illustrated in this picture. And this, again, is in our reading list. This is from an illustrated treasury of Swedish folk and fairy tales from 1913 from an illustrator called John Bauer, who's pretty famous for illustrating Swedish folk tales. And he did this whole book, and all of his artwork is really beautiful and fantastic.
Yeah, that's I mean, that is some Brian Froud shit right there. Brian Froud must have gotten some inspiration from this. For those of you not familiar with Brian Froud, who's famous for working with Jim Henson, was a big part on a lot of the designs for puppets in like the Dark Crystal, I believe, and in Labyrinth.
Yep.
And like those really long troll kind of like faces. Really, I love that image. That is so cool.
Yeah, there's a whole series of them. So this is an illustrated children's book that we have a link to in the description if you want to buy it. It's still in production with John Bauer's artwork, and
no kidding,
so much more. He did like a whole feature on trolls illustrated like this, and we don't touch on it in cultural lore because it's only tangential, but it is thought that it is. I have seen it stated that Henson's original Muppet work was specifically based on John Bauer's work.
Oh, really? No kidding.
Yeah. There's a lot that comes from John Bauer's work that is translated to Jim Henson stuff. But again, that's only anecdotal stuff that I found. I've never seen specific references.
Sure.
So I didn't include it because next episode's already going to be a lot. But these are extremely old, very strong, slow, dim-witted creatures that are sometimes man-eaters, sometimes look human. They tend to live far away from humanity. They have some sort of social organization. Sometimes they're solitary like other monstrous beings. This is where we get the lore that they turn into stone when contacted with sunlight.
Okay.
And then later on, they start to display a habit of bergtagen, which is Swedish for kidnapping.
Okay.
But it literally translates to mountain taking. So they're abducting something and bringing it back to their mountain.
Okay, cool. That's fun.
And we also get limited information that they're afraid of lightning from here.
Oh, okay.
However, that is theoretically added later to reflect specifically how much of a boss Thor is, that he can just show up in lightning and scare away trolls.
Okay.
So that particular weakness is thought to have been just a demonstration of Thor's power, not an actual weakness of trolls, just like contextually.
Sure. Just every once in a while, Thor shows up and goes, blah, 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 and they're like, ah! And now they're all kind of like, don't go near that.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason trolls aren't found in society or villages is because they're frightened away by church bells. Or that's how the Neo-Christian society decided to twist that lore in a way that suited their agenda. You know, there are church bells because there are Christians here. And
you know what that means, listeners. If you're going into the Scandinavian mountains and you want to protect yourself, make sure you steal a church bell first. Can't be any regular bell. It's got to be a church bell. So you're gonna have to take one of those. That's their fault. Yeah. Okay. Just steal a church bell. You'll be fine.
We have another scholar here, John Lindau, who is apparently the world's most expert in Norse and folklore. Specifically Norse folklore, but he's an expert in Norse mythology and folklore, so he's got this really interesting cross. And he authored a book called Trolls and Unnatural History, which again we'll have linked in the reading list. And he believes that the main difference between trolls and men is that trolls are not Christian, and that's what makes them dangerous, and that's the only difference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that belief later continues on. So later still in Swedish folklore, we get this transition to them being natural beings or beings of the natural world.
Okay.
And that's kind of where this drawing comes in. So this is a story about trolls interacting with a forest sprite or a pixie, and that's what that glowing creature is in this image.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of like, at first I thought, oh, these things are huge. And then I was like, well, that thing looks kind of small as well. So which is it? A bit of both, I guess.
Yeah, it actually is a bit of both because eventually they become a troll becomes an all-purpose equivalent to fairies in Anglo-Celtic traditions. So
Okay.
when the Christians moved in or the Catholics moved in and tried to force other religions out, this negative connotation, this word for monsters, morphed into being anything that wasn't part of the Christian mythology.
Hmm. Okay.
And then even further still, there's comparisons of trolls of the Swedish tradition to Grendel from the poem Beowulf, but we will touch more on Grendel in a future episode because Grendel is a creature in Pathfinder
Yeah.
2e.
Yeah. Cool.
So there's much more there for the Swedish and Scandinavian lore, and we will actually touch a little bit further on that stuff in the pop culture section of the next episode.
Hmm. Okay.
But that's it for general all-purpose Scandinavian lore, and then we move into Denmark, where we start to get more of like a dissemination of races of trolls. So small trolls. So they have these giant, massive trolls, like we'll touch on from Norway, but they also have small trolls that live in barrows or mountains.
Okay.
And there are half troll, half humans. Again, we're assuming that these are the unbaptized people who live in Denmark at this time. And they are called Trollfolk or Trollfolk.
Okay. Yeah.
We have the actual mountain trolls, who are these giant trolls. They're the Björg Trolled.
Okay.
And then we have mountain folk, which are the Björk folk. So these are the people who live in the mountains who are theoretically baptized but still live in the mountains. So
Okay.
I like how we can clearly see that where trolled and folk come in. People and trolls, and the
Yeah.
etymology there made me really happy.
Mhm.
Uh, we go a little bit deeper on Denmark in pop culture because there's a couple of really interesting artists from Denmark that really just latched onto the concept of trolls being these mythical beings that aren't necessarily evil, but the helpful trolls. The ones that
Okay.
guide out of the forest. This neo-Catholic definition of trolls.
Sure. Okay.
And then we get into the Norwegian trolls like this guy here. And they are called Tusser or Hyrdefolk, which I absolutely butchered, but I tried, which translates to hidden folk. So
Okay.
not only do they have these giant, massive mountain trolls, they also have these small people-like trolls. And these are to be respected and avoided. These are the ones like the night watch guardian, night wood guardian that we just touched upon.
Okay. Yeah.
But these Hyrdefolk are more akin to mermaids, sirens, succubi. They would lure you in and then take advantage of you in some specific way, like we saw with the original trolls versus the mountain trolls.
Right. Yeah. So they kind of see
And
anyone
then,
wandering by as like maybe a plaything or something to manipulate.
yeah.
Not necessarily
Yeah.
overtly hostile or violent, but tricksy little fey folk like usual.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we can see this definition of troll getting pushed further and further to become akin with Fae. But later on in Norwegian mythology, the definition flipped and they started to bring in these other words from other cultures like mermaids and sirens and succubi. And then they took that word troll, and now that word only references these massive, gigantic, dim-witted, slow beings like we see in this image here by Theodore Kittelsen.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So trolls started off as this general all-purpose name for magical beings, became this general all-purpose name for huge magical beings, became this word for general all-purpose non-Christian magical beings and non-Christian people, then just became non-Christian magical beings, and is now back to this giant like Scandinavian definition of these giant magical beings who aren't necessarily malicious, but are just kind of dumb.
Right. And that's that.
That's that. That is cultural lore. I really thought there was going to be a lot more there, and I'm sure there is, but
Yeah,
It
but
wasn't
nothing.
particularly easy to
Yeah.
find because it's such broad definitions.
Yeah, and we've gone through so many of those, trying
Yeah.
to find something in there somewhere that connects, and and it's a lot of. I was thinking about exactly that when you were going through the this little section that's like said to, or was it says, sometimes man eaters sometimes look human. Like that's not them transforming or deciding their diet change. That's like, this story said they were man eaters, but this one over here said they looked like humans, and this one over
Yep.
here said this. And like there's so little consistency in all that stuff. You're kind of sifting through trying to find the things that are interesting, and then you can't. And sometimes you can't even find the things that actually connect to the creature that we're looking at in the game. Because it seems to me like the closest we're getting is the earliest definition if we're going to compare here, and it's because the earliest definition covers such a broad range of creatures, it's easier to pick from those creatures to form the troll we have here in Pathfinder or D&D or whatever it's going to be.
It really is just a distillation of all the lore. Like a bit of it comes from every culture.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there's definitely an emphasis on the Scandinavian troll, which is mostly what we think of when we think of trolls these days. Like that's what's reflected in most pop culture. But like as much as there wasn't really substance here, like hard biting substance that I could really sink my teeth into and deliver in a succinct fashion, I do really like this like through line of the evolution of the definition of trolls through cultures that eventually just gets reverted. I thought that was a very interesting journey for the word troll, at least our definition of the word troll.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's neat, basic stuff. I like it, but like I said, we're definitely looking at a very, very far, very far removal from the troll in the games here. Like it's just, they're just not, they're almost only a name, or maybe. Or maybe the troll in Pathfinder is
actually cited with distilling trolls down to what we have now.
Okay.
So this Gygax is theoretically directly responsible for our current modern definition of trolls.
Right.
It was kind of nebulous until 1976 or whenever the first edition, first monster manual came out, and that's what is at least cited on Wikipedia, which I know is not the best source for these things, but that's
similar to I feel like that's similar to like what Tolkien did with elves, where it's like elves were nothing like Tolkien elves at all when it came to folklore. He sort of just like took the name and some inspirations and just kind of rebuilt them into something totally new. Dwarves not as much, but to some degree, I think we're also quite changed. But like I think that's probably one of the better examples besides Gygax and this, and probably several other creatures for Gygax.
Yeah, well, so Tolkien is also cited as well as it's Tolkien and Gygax who defined modern trolls, and we will touch on Tolkienian trolls in the next episode. Okay. But I left out D&D trolls because this is that's just too much for 3 episodes.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the meat and potatoes then of this episode, which is going to be mechanics. So we're kind of covering 4 stat blocks again, but this time it's a little more distilled down in that we have a troll king, we have a troll guard, and we have something called the misbegotten troll. And they are the guard and the misbegotten troll are just variants of the troll king, so they are just beefed up extra things, sort of thing. So it's pretty easy to run through in a way. So
what is going to be our through line here, like our median? Is that the troll guard or the troll king, where we're just
the troll king is the baseline. It's a level 10 creature. The troll guard's level 15, and then the misbegotten troll is level 18. So we're just seeing like this increase in power across the board, and it covers most of the stuff. Like your AC is going 28, 35, 40. HP is 220, 340, 430. It's all pretty standard. The misbegotten troll is technically a unique creature, whereas the troll guard is a rare one, but they all have giant and troll traits. Same deal with the recall knowledge. That's still kind of all built in there, where there is no particular skill associated. So, I mean, who knows where you're getting at with all that stuff with these higher level creatures technically becoming rarer, more unique. Are we allowing basic stuff come through? Maybe refer back to the common troll for the basic stuff, and then force lores on the other stuff, the new stuff. But of course, they all speak Jotun. They're all large. They all have a speed of 30 feet. We get common from the Troll Guard, and we get Aklo and Sylvan from the Misbegotten Troll. I can only assume those are for story reasons, because both of those.
Is that the Adventure Path creature?
Both of those creatures are coming from the Adventure Path. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
The Guard and the Misbegotten. Yeah. So, they all have bonuses to athletics and intimidation. Although the Troll King does have some stuff in survival, but the others do not. They're all weak to fire. They all have fortitude as their highest save. The list goes on and on and on. And it's not that interesting. But I will point out
Trollvember 2, not that interesting.
It'll get there though. It'll get there. Okay. I want to point out one thing that really threw me for a loop is that I noticed that the Troll King does not have any items in its inventory for the stat block.
You mean this Troll King with this giant fuck off dragon jaw in its hand?
That's correct. No items. In fact, no weapon attacks either. I think we've found a big mistake here. Big mistake.
I wonder if this is actually imagery of the Troll Guard then.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case, because that is because the reason I think that I'd have to double check the bestiary, but that image is what's on the Troll King entry on Archives of Nethys, and Adventure Path creatures do not get artwork entries on there because they are a little more under the old licensing and communities policy, so a little more restricted. So we're going to go ahead and say add a club to the creature if you like. You don't have to, but by all means, club, great club, whatever exists there. Big old beaten stick, you might want to call it. But of course, we've got, for all three of these creatures, the classic jaws and claws attacks. Same deal. Lots of damage, doing piercing or slashing, agile, reach traits, reach for both, agile for claw. The Guard is coming with Battle Axe. And yeah, so it's doing 48 plus 16 slashing. So if you kill it, you're getting a plus 1 striking Battle Axe. Actually, you're getting 2. It's carrying 2 around. And the Battle Axe has the sweep trait. And this particular creature is coming with the Axe critical specialization, which we'll cover in a moment.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Misbegotten Troll in particular is coming with a glaive, so it's got its own weapon as well. And that's doing slashing, of course. It's also doing an extra piercing damage based on an ability it has. Again, we'll cover in a sec, called Vicious Ranseur, which I thought you would like particularly, James. And glaives, of course, having the deadly D8 trait and forceful traits. And then this attack's getting a reach of 15 here because the troll has a reach of 10 and then the glaive has reach itself, so it's extending up to 15 feet out.
Right.
So lots of damage all around.
It doesn't have the defense trait. I can't remember what brace. It doesn't have brace.
Brace. That's 1E. Yeah, they got rid of that.
Okay.
Yeah, brace wasn't very good. I don't know if you remember how brace worked, but it was like you could brace, but the only thing it did was like help you against a creature that was charging. But like, what if the creatures just walked up to you? Like they had to specifically take the charge action or something like that. Otherwise, brace was just kind of pointless.
Right. I mean, it's not. Yeah. I mean, it's not great in 2E either.
Oh, I see you've linked me a correction. Brace is not gone from second edition, although it's actually pretty recent adding, though, it looks like, because it came from Treasure Vault.
It also is not anywhere near the same because it is attached to a long hammer and something called a nodachi.
Okay.
I don't know what a nodachi is, but
nodachi is a type of sword, I believe. Long blade. Yeah. Used to design to neutralize enemy mounts and counter the advantages of cavalry units. Oh, cool! Like a big ass long blade, I think.
Right. Okay.
It's an advanced weapon too. Yeah, it says your brace is when you're ready to strike an opponent that moves within your reach until the start of your next turn, strikes with the brace weapon, deal an additional 2 precision damage to each weapon die it has. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, and that long hammer is pretty much a lucerne, and those are a fucking joke at all. So
those are cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Use those for inspiration on the Troll King item. Why not? But yeah,
the misbegotten troll. But yes.
Let's see here. So of course they've all got rend. Why not? They've also all got this lovely thing called forced regeneration, which I kind of loosely covered, where they can kind of will the regeneration to activate. So it's a concentrate action, and basically you can only use it. It's 2 actions. You can only use it if your regeneration is not currently active, and you regain basically half the amount of HP. Or is it half the amount of HP that you would normally get from regeneration? I believe that is the case. So for the Troll King's case, it's like you just 2 action, get 15 HP back because your regenerate is not currently active, and you're probably going shit, give me some health back.
Right. Huh.
Yeah, just double checking the regeneration here. Yeah, it's so the Troll King is 30, the guard is 40, and the misbegotten troll is 45. That's what they're getting back at the beginning of their turns. And so this force one is 15, 20, and 25. So I don't know if it's 2 action
still
worthy.
Still a 2 action heal, but
yeah, it's
yeah.
It's a fairly high cost.
Yeah, that's a really high cost, but it is interesting because you're not getting health back anyway. So
it almost makes
like a retreat situation.
Yeah, maybe. I almost wonder if it would be worth doing like 1 action, but you can only use it once per round or something like that, or you can only use it once every 2 rounds, kind of like when we had the other one. I already forget it was the other Kingmaker one, I think, that had the ability to like rally its troops, but it couldn't use it. Had to use it every 2 rounds, something like that.
Right. The battle cry or whatever, it couldn't use it 2 rounds and at the same time. But
it was a single action.
I don't think so. So what the reason that one's every other turn is because it changes the action economy, which is so important, and it adds actions to the action economy. Whereas this, I actually don't know why this is 2 actions instead of 1 action, because a 1 action heal, if you do your feats and stuff right, is 2d10.
Yeah, it can be, but it's I don't know. It's been a while since I looked at heal. That's for the players. I don't get to use heal. In any case, I don't know. It's it does seem like a big cost, but maybe it's worth it. Maybe there's a spot for it. Actually, scrap everything. I double checked. It's 1 action. I just wrote it down wrong.
Okay. Okay, I'm back on board.
Okay, yeah, it makes way more sense now.
Yeah, way more sense. Yeah, 1 action heal is 1d8, and then as soon as you heighten it, you add an extra d8, and that is, if you have the healing hands, it makes all your healing d8s d10s. So by 4th level, 3rd level, you've got 2d10 healing, which is your 20 right there. So yeah, 1 action makes a lot more sense. Totally. Especially at this level.
Very much so, yeah. Now that I look at it, I think I just screwed up because I even have rend as 2 actions, which we all know is not the case. So I made a boo-boo, and I will double check these ones as we go. Let's talk about Twin Chop from the Troll Guard. Apparently 2 actions. Double checking now. The frequency is it's you think so. The frequency is once per round, and the troll lashes out at 2 foes with its axes. Make 2 strike attempts, but against separate targets. No map until after. So you just chop. Yeah,
I like
which is pretty. pretty sweet, right? So you get in there with a Jaws attack at full map, and then just bam bam at second map and -5. In a you're looking pretty good there. Obviously, you're not getting any agile on that because your hands are full, but
Right.
could be all right.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's it's very very on par with double slice, which is
Mhm.
like a solid fighter feat. So this is great. And is the frequency built into the attack, or does it have the flourish trait?
I believe it's built in. Let me just quick double check here. Internet load now. Nope, not loading. Internet failing me. There we go. Yeah, frequency once per round built in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't have the flourish trait because flourish is only one action. You can only use one action with the flourish trait. And I guess this counts
Okay.
as a single action, even though it takes two actions. So that's probably why.
Yeah. It might
It's
just be
not
the
one
difference
action.
I mean, I think flourish possibly is only attached to things that are accessible by PCs. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, that's
Whereas
possible, but I don't.
we're basically looking at double slice, but a creature ability version. So they kind of, we'll structure them a little bit differently for the stat block reading, I guess. That's my uneducated guess right now. Slightly
Yeah.
educated guess. My high school diploma guess. Um, let's talk about. I'm going to skip something here. I'm going to go down to something that everyone has, and we're talking about the primordial roar that I mentioned earlier. So this has the auditory, emotion, mental, and fear traits. And the effect is it's two actions. You unleash a bestial roar, and all non-trolls within 100 feet must make a DC 29 will save at the baseline, 40 at the top. And all creatures are temporarily immune for 10 minutes automatically after this happens. And then it's basically a critical success unaffected, success frightened 1, 2, 3, respectively down the line of successes. And or failures. So that's kind of like a big opener, just waltz in, roar, and hope for the best,
Yeah.
They
I mean,
all
even on a success is frightened 1. Like that's
it's yeah, it's
pretty solid.
you're gonna be shaken. Yeah, because like again, 100 feet, this thing has, it must be a terrifying sight. You're already seeing a troll, you already know they're vicious and brutal, and it just run up and it is shaking the whole world around you with its vocal cords. It's just get ready,
Yeah.
get ready.
And even at 10th level, DC 29 is no joke.
Yeah, really. We're gonna look at two. So we have something called Unstoppable Charge, which is coming only from the Troll King and the Misbegotten Troll. And the troll basically strides twice in a straight line. This is a 3 action. It makes up to 2 claw strikes during the movement and 1 jaw strike at the end of the movement, and cannot strike the same creature more than once. I kind of wondered if this was our missing trample in part of the design process, because remember before we had the thing where where you can't use trample, and you're like, but there is no trample, it doesn't exist. That was with the cavern troll, I believe. I'm like, I wonder if that kind of got lost in here when they were kind of developing the Unstoppable Charge, because it works very similar to what trample would be. I also noticed that this is not included in the Troll Guard, and I think it's because it's claws and jaws, and the Troll Guard has axes. But the Troll Guard does have claws. The axes can be dropped. So I don't see why this couldn't also be on that stat block, but it wasn't. So I thought that was kind of strange.
My best guess is flavor. So as a guard, you do not want to be running up to the enemy. Your job is defense, not offense.
True enough. Maybe there's a story reason in there somewhere that we don't know about.
Yeah, I think it probably just wants to keep the troll guards close to whatever they're guarding, as opposed to specifically running off, which is not a good idea.
Yeah. So there was there is that. So maybe it's our missing trample thing. Maybe it should be in the troll guard, maybe it shouldn't. If you want to,
This should
if
be
you want,
on
if you're,
fucking every creature. This is such an amazing 3-action
it's
ability.
fun. It really is fun. Yeah.
Yeah, what is that? 5 actions for 3
Yeah.
actions? That's no joke.
I mean, yeah, up to, you got to be in that straight line. You got to stride twice, basically, or at least more than once worth of your movement. But if you get in the right position, it's all about positioning, right? When you get into those right positions, you can really knock out some damage. Let's also talk about some reactions. They all have attack of opportunity or reactive strike, as it were. And they also have vigorous shake. This is triggered by taking persistent acid or fire damage. So it's important. The acid or fire is applied to you, but you don't take the damage till after your turn is done. So it's not the moment of application. It is after your turn is done. You basically take this damage. The troll shakes itself, attempting to shake off the persistent damage. Immediately attempt a DC 15 flat check. If it succeeds, it can immediately use Primordial Roar as part of the reaction.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. Now, this is kind of odd because you also take the flat check just after taking the damage. So I thought it was a bit strange that you're basically, the reaction is giving you a free flat check. Does that mean you're getting 2 flat checks in a row? I would think so. I guess so.
Sounds like what it means. Yeah.
Yeah. But the order of operations is just a little bit murky there because it's always like end of your turn, take the damage, get a flat check.
Yeah.
But the trigger for this reaction is taking the damage. So you take the damage, you use your reaction, get the flat check. If you fail that, then you get the basic one.
I thought it was the other way. You do a flat check, you take the damage, and then you would do the vigorous shake.
No, damage is always first.
Okay.
Because you have to take the damage. Otherwise, the application of the persistent damage is moot, right? So you always take the damage first, then the flat check, the natural flat check, right? But it seems to me that the reaction has to go in between those two things. If the order of operations is going to matter. I mean, it probably doesn't matter that much. What really matters is that, you might actually save that Primordial Roar and not have it as your opener. And instead, as part of reaction, if you manage to succeed in shaking up, like people know, light the troll on fire. So you light the troll on fire, it just shakes, the fire falls off, and it starts screaming, and you're all scared. That's a hell of an opener as well, even if it's in round 2. It's a hell of a thing.
So yeah. I think you're probably right. I think it takes the damage, it takes the flat check, and then if it fails the flat check, it can use the reaction.
I think the reaction's got to be in between because the reaction's trigger is taking the damage, so it's got to be right in between. It's got to be right after. Well, it can't be
because a reaction is can't happen on your turn. It has to happen on somebody else's turn, I think.
Nope, that's not strictly true. And it doesn't really matter because the persistent damage happens when your turn is done anyway. So it's no longer your turn.
Well, that's what I mean. So like it's yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, I mean, so the flat check is the end of your turn when it comes to persistent damage.
It's after the persistent damage, which happens at the end of your turn.
Yeah. So persistent damage, flat check, vigorous shake is how I think this is supposed to go, but you're saying it's persistent damage, vigorous shake, then flat check.
Correct. Again, I don't know if it matters. I don't know if it matters at all, but the trigger is you took the damage, so the next thing that has to happen is the reaction because the trigger is there. If you move on to the next flat check, technically you've moved on from the proper order of operations, or you've skipped past the trigger. Again, I really don't think it matters in this case. This is one of those like order of operations things that are always going through our heads, but this one probably doesn't matter because it's all kind of happening either for free or without a technical action or just a reaction. So it's like there's nothing really to interrupt the process. So long as the damage is first, I think the other two don't really matter because there's nothing that's going to stop either of them. Unless, of course,
they do matter because if you take the original flat check first, you may not get that free persistent or primordial roar.
Right. So you just want to make sure you get it in there. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to use this as your reaction, because this doesn't actually seem like the best use of a reaction based on what we've talked about. Even though you can get off that free primordial roar, an AOO is probably more damaging because they're going to be immune from the primordial roar for 10 minutes anyway.
Well, that's just it. If you haven't used the Primordial Roar, I think you want to use this as soon as possible. But the moment you've used it, you're not using it anymore. And you're kind of right that attack opportunity is in some cases better, but don't forget that persistent damage will trigger the weakness to fire or weakness to acid if it exists, which is brutal.
Right, but you're already taking the damage anyway, because that's part of the trigger for the reaction. So you're not getting out of it here, no matter what happens. So
no, true. That's true enough.
You're hooped for that whole round.
Hooped.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah.
Huh.
Although it is worth noting that these trolls are all. Let me make sure I got this right. But they're weak to fire, but not acid. But acid and fire both stop the regeneration. So if the party has chosen acid in this case, then the weakness is not being triggered, which means you could just theoretically start attack of opportunity instead and saving your actions for that, because the acid damage is not going to be nearly as deadly to these trolls.
Yeah. Interesting.
Anyway,
that's an interesting one. I still don't fully understand why this exists, but
yeah, it's just feels like it's not as good as it could be. But I'm also wondering if it's part of shaking off the thing that's key to destroying this incredibly violent and dangerous creature. Maybe they didn't want to make it too powerful, just give it a little extra edge or something. But
I mean, it's already really powerful. You get a free flat check, and this is the only reaction that I know of where you get a 2-action on top of that, because Primordial Roar is 2 actions.
Yeah, built in. Yeah,
essentially 3 actions for.
I've seen a couple others that are like
incredibly powerful.
I think I've seen a couple others that are like it'll reset the counter on, say, like your breath weapon, where it's like after you use it, you can't use it for 1d4 rounds. But if you use this reaction, I feel like we've covered it before. Either that, or I've definitely kind of looked at a stat block for STT. It's like if you use this reaction under these circumstances, then it resets that, and you get to use the breath weapon again as part of the reaction, which is like bonkers deadly. So I've seen it in a way before, but it's not very common. And I think the double flat check is crazy. I think that's one of the most powerful parts of it, I think, in a way, because even if the reaction it goes off and you don't manage, and you don't manage to shake it off, and you don't get the Primordial Roar out, you still get one more on top of that to just naturally shake it off, which is that's going to put some pause into the players. Like, this thing has a double chance almost every turn. Like, what? Or every round. Oh
yeah. This is one of the ones that I'd like to see in action. I think I'd get a better sense for it while fighting a Troll King. So
that's fair. I think that's totally fair.
So $10,000 Patreon reward, I think.
Let's talk about the couple additions here to the weapons of these trolls, because the guard has, of course, the access, but the axe critical specialization feature, which is kind of fun. So you basically choose a creature adjacent to the initial target and within reach. If its AC is lower than your attack roll result for the critical hit, you deal damage to that creature equal to the result of the weapon damage die you rolled. So you basically just get to swing through, and if the creature next to you still manage to hit the AC, you just get regular basically damage on it, including any striking rune stuff. So you're not doubling your damage, but you're just getting that full regular hit in as well.
It's a free sweep, I think.
Well, that's just it too, because the axe also has sweep, right? Which is I think if you does it give bonus to damage?
It's a +1 to attacks if they're adjacent. Yeah. Same weapon, different target.
Yeah, same weapon, different target. So that one's a bit muddled with the twin chop, because you're already swinging both, and you already have to target separate creatures. You can't do twin chop twice in the same round because it's costing you 2 actions. So it gets a little bit muddled in there, but it's still awesome to get that extra damage in if you do happen to crit to an adjacent target or a nearby one. Like that can be really brutal. Turning a crit into like that much more damage, even if it's a separate target, brutal, absolutely brutal.
Well, and if it's the first hit, you could sweep into the second target and then hit with because this is all one action. You still use your twin chop, I think, as long as you crit on the first strike.
Yeah, maybe. I think I'm with you. I need to put this into action to get my head around it a little bit. So we've suddenly gone from like these creatures that are reasonably simple, and these things, this is still kind of simple. I think we're just overthinking it right now.
Definitely.
But yeah, but there's just a little extra layer of like, oh God, we got to figure order operations now, or do we? Usually you want to, just in case.
No, we don't. But this is a discussion show. This is part of our charm, I think, is us just fumbling over the shit that we only kind of understand.
Yeah. We also have for the Misbegotten Troll, that Vicious Ransur ability that I mentioned. This is a really interesting one. There's definitely story reasons for this that I don't know, but basically, it's got this ability where when it attacks the glaive, the glaive manifests dozens of hooks and spikes along the length of the blade, which means it deals an additional 3d8 piercing damage. But it also does an additional 1d8 piercing damage to the Misbegotten Troll itself. So it's taking a little bit of damage to deal more. Probably a worthy sacrifice, though, because you're looking at a 3d8 plus 17 slashing plus 3d8 piercing attack, plus deadly d8. And it's a big ol' hit at the sacrifice of max 8 hit points. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, when you're gonna theoretically regenerate 45 at the beginning of your turn, 8 kind of feels like nothing.
It's kind of moot, yeah. The Misbegotten Troll also has another ability called Jangle the Chain. This is definitely also story related, and you'll know why in a sec. It has the trait of auditory, emotion, enchantment, manipulate, which is important, very important, mental, and primal. The Misbegotten Troll shakes his chain of caged sprites, causing the supernatural cages to amplify their despair. I don't know what the situation is, but it sounds dire. All creatures other than the troll and its pets, I won't spoil which pets it has, but it has pets, so that's spoilers, within 30 feet. They all going to make a DC 40 will save, and then the chains cannot be jangled for 1d4 rounds. Critical success, you're unaffected and temporarily immune for 24 hours, which is great. On a success, you are sickened 1 with despair. On a failure, you are stunned 1 by sadness and sickened 1 with despair once the stunned ends. And on a critical failure, you are stunned 3 by sadness and sickened 2 with despair once the stunned ends. Whatever's going on there with his caged sprites and the awfulness of that situation, I'm quite curious.
What is the mechanic of despair in this game? I'm not familiar
it isn't.
with that.
It's flavor text. It is, you are experiencing despair and sharing that despair of the caged creatures. And because it is an enchantment, it is a magical effect. It is, forcing you to share this despair, and you are stricken with sadness as you witness whatever is happening in the situation. So very contextual, definitely very story related, whatever it is
a very weird way to write flavor text. Sickened 1 with despair. Sickened 1 with despair once stunned ends. Are we sure it's not like related to the aura of despair from the champion?
No. It's nothing like that. Bear in mind that this creature has been converted over from a 1E adventure. So they're probably keeping some of that text in, for context, and for flavor, and for the GM to use is probably to add more evocative language to the situation.
Sure, I'm fine with that. It's just weird to me that it's included with the success rates. That is weird, and that's not a common thing. That's
super uncommon.
So I don't like that.
Also a unique creature, so some things just are, some exceptions are just simply made for those.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, there is you run a slight risk, when it comes to literal and direct interpretations of being like, well, what is the despair mechanic? Why is the non-mechanic term embedded into the mechanic part that I really need to nail down? It could cause a little confusion. So I feel you there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not okay.
We'll be a little careful.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's an oversight. Maybe it is flavor, or maybe it is supposed to mean a frightened 1. which I don't
No,
see
you
why
wouldn't.
it wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't want frightened one tagged on to stunned and sickened conditions. Like you're piling up too high there at that point. That's like the reason why I didn't find it confusing was because first it was like sickened with despair. Okay. Stunned by sadness and sickened with despair. I was like, oh, okay. They've got a trend here. Stunned by sadness, sickened with despair. Like they're just, it's clear. It became clearly flavor text to me the further down I read. You know what I mean?
Right. So as opposed to an actual mechanic, it's a descriptor of why the mechanic's happening, which does not belong in the success chain.
You got to bear in mind,
I see
because this is a unique creature, it was never it's never written or developed or put into a stat block with the intention of it being used anywhere but the situation that it's in, you know? Of course, you can use this in whatever situation you want, right? But whatever the context that is happening in Kingmaker for this, you know, that's clearly built into the flavor text here in some regard or another.
Okay.
But that is it. So we've got, I kind of went through that in a really random order, but you know, like I said, they're all kind of just different versions of the same thing. They're all troll kings with a little added something, or a little removed something in some cases. But they're pretty straightforward, other than those orders of operations and, you know, flavor text. So I think we should move on to the Nightwood Guardian.
Yeah, I noticed that you put this in its own stat block. It's just a nice page of purple, which I find very convenient.
It's I put it because it is so very different. It is just, I didn't want to lump it all together like I did for the part one, because it is, you know, obviously it's going to share some things, but it's not sharing nearly as much as the trolls have with the different variations trolls have so far. So Nightwood Guardian is a level 9 creature, AC of 26, HP of 200, flesh of wood in parentheses next to the HP. Large, no alignment available because Rage of Elements is the first book to be released under the remaster rules, even though the remaster is not technically out yet. So alignment has been removed. It is uncommon. It has the giant and troll traits. And also has the wood trait.
That's a new one.
Yes, new one. Also does not add an option for the recall knowledge, though, because like we saw with the frost troll and the cavern troll, sure, you can add earth or cold or wood, but that is not the elemental trait per se. So still in the same boat on that one, even though this is clearly leaning into a more unique, less frequent creature. You know,
just use nature. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I think you're safe with that one. Speed of 30, speaks Fey, Jotun, and Muon. Muon? The language of the plane of wood.
Okay.
Which all those languages have actually been renamed, or like new ones have been come up with and stuff with the remaster as well.
Like even Fey and Jotun have been changed?
No, sorry, the elemental ones, I should say. The elemental ones have all been changed, yeah.
Like that makes
it's no longer Orin for air, I think. I don't remember what it's called now, but I'm pretty sure it's different.
Yeah, those are all 5e terms or D&D terms, so it makes sense that they're breaking away.
We are looking at dark vision, of course, given its lore, but also something called light blindness, which
that's excellent. I've been waiting for that to show up on one of these trolls. That's excellent.
So this is where their own sort of weakness to light comes in, but it's not like I said before, they're not like super vulnerable to light like the things they are protecting. It's not going to kill them, but it does have an effect on them. So light blindness is when you are at first exposed to bright light, the monster is blinded until the end of its next turn, which is pretty significant. And then after this exposure, light doesn't blind the monster again until after it spends an hour in darkness. However, as long as the monster remains in the bright light, it is in fact dazzled. So blinded is really important because it makes creatures hidden from you, which makes you flat-footed to them. And then dazzled basically means that creatures and objects are concealed from you. So you have to roll that dreaded 20% DC 5 flat check if you want to try and hit anything. So bright light be very important in fighting this creature right out of the gate, if you can imagine.
Yeah, and if you want more context for that, the first book of Stemming the Tide, we fought a shit ton of Morlocks. All have light blindness, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And I absolutely did not use the mechanic properly most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah.
Most of the time.
Especially lately with the drush cans. It almost always gets ignored.
It's one of my weaknesses. It's light blindness and auras. Oh, auras.
Yeah, auras are a tough one.
Hell. We also I think the reason especially that's easy to forget light blindness is we've been doing a dungeon dive, a mega dungeon, and at some point you just stop asking whether or not people can see or if there was light on you. The conversation disappears. Are you even in darkness anymore? Nah, no one's paying attention unless it's something really far away, because it's presumed at this point you've got the light spell on or you're holding this or whatever. We just
also
kind of
Foundry reflects that pretty well. So whenever I hit long rests for my current character, it takes the light off it, so I can't see anything until I put light back on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that is good. Foundry for the win. Anyway, enough about my shortcomings as a GM. Athletics and intimidation.
The few that there are. You're an excellent GM.
Thank you. Athletics and intimidation are predictable skills. They also have a boost to lore Nightwoods. So
yeah,
not sure what you would use it for.
Home.
Maybe
I get it.
Maybe you're gonna have a conversation. Hey, if you go in without light, maybe you can have a conversation with this creature.
Or if you present as a child with some sort of illusory disguise, or you're just a halfling.
Just a halfling, yeah. or no. Right. Let's see here. Weaknesses to fire. Weaknesses to axes. Classic.
Hell yeah. Love it. Love to see it.
Axes do an extra 10 damage because it's flesh of wood, baby. It's awesome. I love it. It does, in fact, have a club as a thing in its inventory and an elemental wooden shield, which I couldn't find an actual entry for quote-unquote elemental wooden shield, but it did just sort of in the stat block come with the fact that it's got a hardness of 8, HP of 64, break threshold of 32. So I guess...
Yeah, it just seems to be like a sturdy dark wood.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just something along those lines. Let's talk about some of its abilities. It does have...
Wait. Yep. I just want to touch on one concept pretty briefly, because I think we've just brushed by it, specifically in this episode, maybe in previous episodes, but in this one, the weakness is axe is 10. In Pathfinder 2e, unlike any other game I've played, they have weapon categories. So anything that falls under the axe category counts towards that axe is 10. Same with critical specialization. It's for all axes. So it's for your hand axe, your hatchet, your throwing axe, your battle axe, your boarding axe, your
the specific term I believe is weapon group. Because you have a type, which is like melee or ranged. You have category, which is like simple martial advanced, and then group is axes, swords, bows, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So when you see axes, they're not just being general. It is actually a specific term that means something, but that term is a general term. I don't know if that made any sense whatsoever, but I just wanted to touch on it. I really like that they group the weapons like that. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, because I think the important thing is you don't want to get all nitpicky about, well, it doesn't have axe in the name, so it doesn't count, right? Because a hatchet is an axe. The orc neck splitter, I mean, you would assume it's an axe, but it's not in the name. So just know that it definitely is an axe. Most of them actually do have axe in the name. Although I just noticed one here. There's a vehicle weapon called battle saddle that counts as an axe.
Oh, right. It's
whatever
just a saddle with 2 blades on the side. Yeah.
That's awesome. I should just charge it past this thing on your mount and just slicing it and get an extra 10 damage in. That'd be super fun.
I almost bought one for episode 100.
So let's see here. Let's talk about its ability to shield its own eyes. Sure, it's got light
I mean,
blindness.
we all have that ability.
It's got true enough. There is so if it raises its shield, the guardian loses the dazzled or blinded conditions from the light blindness or other light effects. So, yeah.
What?
It's like raise shield, defenses up, no longer dazzled, bitch. I got you.
That is fucking wild.
And it's not impeding its own vision by doing it and attacking you. So
yeah, so I mean, it's
a little bit hard to believe, but yeah,
like above its head. That I mean, I guess that's faster than this because you're going with gravity and the weight of the shield. But
yeah,
fuck that. I mean, I love it as a PC.
For the audio listeners, James is just shaking his hand up and down on the video.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I needed to explain it. Yeah, I don't. As a PC, I would love to have that ability, but as a PC fighting something with that ability, I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all.
It's a tough one to get your head around. It's not the most believable thing. So, but I did have a little note here. It says it's interesting because it specifies other light effects. So it's the light blindness and other light effects. So not just lighting a torch can take advantage of its vulnerability. Also lights that deliberately invoke blindness are dazzled to a target. It's kind of something. There's a little bit of nested stuff in there to like kind of look at.
Right. So that could work against spells and stuff. That you know, like what I can't even remember what it is. There are some low level spells that cause at least the dazed, if not the dazzled, on a critical fail.
Yeah. Now, bear in mind that I don't think if you cast the blindness spell on this creature, it can't remove the blinded condition with a shield eyes. That's why it's like pretty specific in here. It's this other light. It removes dazzle blind conditions from light blindness and other light effects. You know, blindness is not a light effect spell. It is like just like sort of like a attack your eyes, you know, with magic fortitude save kind of shit, right? So it's very important to keep those things separate. It's obviously got a club attack with that big old wooden club. It's got a jaws attack. Everything's at a reach of 10 feet. We're getting bludgeoning and piercing in there, of course. Doesn't have a claw attack. It's got big old meaty hands, but it doesn't really have the vicious claws that we've seen so far.
It's only got 3 finger hands too, which I didn't realize until now.
I'm sure if it had to, it could deliver a beefy unarmed strike. But we're just getting we basically just got those 2 basic things. We have a 2-action Nightwood Roar, concentrate, darkness, and primal traits. Frequency is only once per hour, but the Guardian roars and snuffs out light in a 30-foot cone. Ordinary lights and flames are automatically extinguished, and magical lights require a counteract check, which the Guardian does with a plus 21 modifier at a counteract rank of 5.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, so it can blast out your magical light as well with a roar. Only once per hour, so it's only got one proper chance here, and it's a 30-foot cone, so it's directional. So it's it's got to be in the right position, and it still might have to roll a check, but it's got a reasonably good chance, I think, to get that check in there, especially if it's just against like say your light cantrip or something. But it of course has reactive strike, which is our new AOO, and it has shield block, so if the shield is raised, it can block, blah blah blah. You go through the whole rigmarole of damage to the shield and to the target. It has
any listener who listens to Stemming the Tide would know how that works.
It's got a passive called Fire Fueled Rage, which is pretty fun. When the Nightwood Guardian takes fire damage, they become enraged. They gain 15 temp HP, deal 2 additional damage with melee strikes, and a -1 penalty to AC. So they're kind of going into barbarian mode here. They can't raise shield or use actions with the concentrate trait, except to seek. The Nightwood Roar is a concentrate trait, so you can no longer use that to snuff out the fire. And can no longer raise its shield to stop being dazzled or blinded. Ends if fire is no longer observed for 1 full round, or if they fall unconscious, whichever is first. So fire. Like usual, this is where you get into like, okay, here's a really proper troll attachment to this with this thing. Fire is the enemy. Fire is what you want to use to kill it, but for a different reason, which I think is really cool. This is where I got into like the reinterpretation of the troll. Like, how can we make fire, its biggest weakness? It's not just that extra damage. It's not stopping regeneration. It is stopping its ability to sort of protect and offense and stuff, and all related around the light, which I think is a pretty neat kind of combo. It makes me, in a way, kind of want to forgive the kind of silliness of, the shield raise protects your eyes from the light thing. Right. It's not hyper believable. But hey, it's a fun mechanic once you mix them together.
Yeah, and I guess the idea is that maybe you're just putting it like really close to your face, not above your eyes to shield it like you would with a ball cap or like your hand binoculars or what have you. So if you're just
even look at the shield, it's not like a fully round shield. It's just like a bramble of wood, right? You couldn't even really put it up to properly block your whole face. But maybe it's akin to, like, say, remember like the early like Inuit sunglasses that were known to be used, where they just had these really small slits in the eyes, and the point was to reduce reflection of light off the snow so that visibility was more tolerable. Maybe it's just something along those lines, right? Where you're mitigating and limiting how much light is coming at you, which lets your eyes kind of reset and adjust on the fly.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Just winging it. Welcome to Counter This. Just winging it. One final thing. We have a Flesh of Wood passive. So I did mention earlier, traits are primal in wood. The effect is damage and wounds dealt to the Nightwood Guardian actually cause its flesh to turn into wood. More particularly into more solid wood. So if this creature is reduced to 40 HP or lower, it turns completely into solid wood. They become completely stunned. They give resistance to all damage 10, and they regenerate at 40 per round, deactivated by fire. This ends once the Guardian is 100 HP or more, though it can choose to stay in this form indefinitely if it wants to. So here we have a reinterpretation of the sunlight turning into stone kind of thing built into regeneration of a troll that, can also kind of set you up in a really cool way. Perhaps as soon as I read this ability, I thought, imagine walking into a forest and then you come across a giant wooden carving of a troll. You're like, whoa. That's pretty cool. But look, it looks like it's got a couple, someone tried to chop it down. There's a couple axe marks in it or whatever, but it's just standing there perfectly still. Well, the truth is that's actually a Nightwood Guardian that has chosen to, after being attacked whatever last time, has chosen to stay in this wooden form and could break it at any time. So don't turn on a light next to any wooden carvings of trolls is the lesson here. But I just thought it was cool.
When we go through the cultural section, because that could be interesting.
I think it was kind of cool because it can't do anything. It's regenerating, but it's resistance 10 to all damage, which means that even though it's like made of completely of wood at that point, it's basically negating any of the extra axe damage that it's taking. So it's resistance 10, weakness 10. Like, just forget it. Now it's not really weak anymore. It's just taking the regular roll axe to wood ratio, I guess.
Yeah. I was worried there wasn't going to be a regeneration in here for a second there. So I'm glad that it's included, even if it is in its tree form. And I love the idea that you have to absolutely fucking nail that unspecified lore recall knowledge in order to get this kind of information. Like, seriously, I'm not giving this out freely. You are going to have to critically succeed to get it's still regenerating as a tree, because as a player, if I hit something and it turns to wood, I'm going to assume the fight's over.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. If it's already on fire when it turns to wood, then that's like your biggest chance of it dying, is it can't regenerate. And then if the fire keeps ticking and it doesn't shake off or doesn't go out with the flat check, then the thing will eventually just die from the persistent damage, so long as you just let it stay on fire.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and that's
you're
be
right
a big
in
thing
that.
for anybody
Yeah.
like nature oriented. You're not just going to set a tree on fire and walk the fuck away if you've got a druid in the party or a member of the Church of Erastil. Like that's not happening.
Yeah. And like you're right, is if you're managed to like kind of hack away at this thing and you're not, you don't think you have to light it on fire other than, maybe you throw some fire, but maybe you don't think you have to deactivate any regeneration because there apparently isn't one. As soon as it turns to solid wood, you are probably going to go, oh, well, I guess we're done here. I know, although, some parties get, I don't know if I would call this murder hobo-esque, but someone would be like, nope, not taking a chance. Like that experienced player is going to meta a little bit and be like, start chopping this thing, because if it's anything like a troll, it's coming back if we don't do something, right? And that's like another kind of nod in a way to like, if any tiny piece of a troll will eventually regenerate if you don't burn it. It's kind of the same here. If you don't continue chopping at this thing, it's going to come back.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I buy that. I mean, I still think it's a stretch for most players, but
yeah,
if you've got the right lore, sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's a cool creature. I was very surprised by it. I mean, it's sort of strange, I think, to give it the troll trait in a way, but it is so very inspired by the troll and just again reinterpreted in a way that I think is really fun. I would have liked a little more lore in its relation to the troll, given that it is so closely related in those ways. So I think that's where I don't think it's lacking in the Saplock at all. I think the Saplock's super fun. I think the lore is a little bit, too disconnected. But like, not to the point of hurting anything, just kind of would be nice. Create your own connections, listeners.
Yeah, and you should.
Call it.
Yeah.
Let us know.
The lore is probably only tangentially related because, like you said, this is a brand new creature. And more importantly, this is a brand new plane of existence. As far as I know, the plane of wood hasn't existed since like 3rd edition, not even 3.5.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know myself. Had never occurred to me that it would even have been there before. I was just excited when they said they were introducing it. I was like, cool.
I think we touched on it briefly in Mephits.
Oh, did we? Okay. Oh, it's
possible,
maybe. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the creature. I really don't care for that shield block thing, but whatever. I mean, that's everything else about it. I really like. I like that they folded the regeneration into like this like cocoon husk form that it takes on. I think that's really neat.
Just want to put a side note out there apropos of your mention of Mephits, and that the remaster has renamed them to Scamps.
Oh, that's substantially worse. But
how fun is it though? Come on. I just think it's funny.
Little fire scamp.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. I will leave you with a little anecdote. I always forget what anecdote actually means. I have a little story from camp.
Okay, let's jump into the homebrew section then.
At Uncharted North. Let's do it. Splash screen. I got a little story. So Cam, good friend Cam, was telling me that one time they were playing in a 5e campaign where they were investigating a cave of orcs when they stumbled on a troll like mid-encounter. They ended up running further into the cave and found another troll, and then more, and then another, and then one after the other. And obviously things I can only assume got very, very dangerous until they finally came across a laboratory with a pendulum blade that was continuously slicing a troll that was strapped down in half. And the bottom half kept sliding off and regenerating into a new troll.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. And I said, I said to them, this begs the question, is this a cloning process? Is this a method of procreation? Do the new trolls have new memories and thoughts, or do they keep the old ones? Don't have the answer for that, but I thought it was kind of neat. Yeah, what a scenario to find yourself in.
Yeah,
I don't know who came up with it, but I like it. I love it.
I think that's got to be cloning, right?
It feels like it. It feels like cloning. Yeah, but it's I haven't been able to, answer the question in my own headcanon here. It was like, if you chop the arm off of a troll, or there's only an arm left when it regenerates, is it the same troll? Is it a new troll? Don't know.
Ship of Theseus.
Who to what now?
Are you familiar with that concept?
Should be a thesis? Is that what you said? No, I don't think so.
I think it's Theseus, right?
I don't know. I am unaware of this strange niche thing you have thrown at me.
Yeah, Ship of Theseus. So this is this is the identity.
I'm sorry. I thought you said should be a thesis. like I should write a thesis on this. The philosophy
Ship of Theseus.
Okay.
Yeah, the identity paradox.
Yeah, I don't know it. What is it? What's the deal with that?
Oh, so there was I don't know if it's actually true or a story, but I think it's an actual ship, and it's the ship that belonged to this old Greek Theseus. But over time, they started to replace parts of the ship, like one piece at a time, until the whole ship was different. Like there was it was an identical ship, but each piece had been replaced. Is it the same ship?
They asked that question in the famous movie Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams.
The android, stretch, I think,
the android that continuously replaces all of its parts into synthetic or organic, but they become slowly more and more human. Can it ever become human, or does it always remain an android? I won't promise you it's a very good film. I just happened to listen to a podcast that touched on it recently, so that's why it came to mind.
Yeah, it is not a very good film if I remember it correctly, and I've seen it.
I don't think it was well received. Yeah.
No.
But anyway, actual homebrew. Any thoughts, questions, concerns? I think no. I'm not near as excited as with the Troll King and the other and its sort of iterations. Not like I was with the other ones. I think it's still fine. It is literally just the baseline with some added stuff. The added stuff can make it a little more dangerous or a little more effective, but otherwise it's not. I don't think they were trying to reinvent the troll. I don't think they were trying to make it super extra special. They just wanted the higher level one to have a little extra on top, and I think they achieved it. But it's just not as exciting as reading the first stat blocks,
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually really quite like the Troll Guard. I think they kind of just nailed everything thematically there with the
battle axe thing
to the full plate. Yeah.
I didn't mention that they actually have full plate on, and there's a plate on the Misbegotten Troll as well. So they're wearing armor.
Yeah. So I mean, the Troll King is a little disappointing. The Misbegotten Troll, I am clearly just missing context for that, because I don't find this interesting at all. So I think it would be interesting in context, but these changes out of context don't do anything for me.
Sure, that's fair. And I don't think they're meant to.
The Nightwood Guardian. Yeah, the Nightwood Guardian, I really quite like all of the mechanics involved. I like the fire-fueled rage. I like the flesh to wood. I like the Nightwood roar. I get why Shield Eyes is a combo action. I understand why mechanically that makes sense. But physically, lore-wise, it doesn't make sense to me. But I got to get past that, because this isn't about lore. Yeah. This is about not wasting a single action for a 9th level creature, which is fine. I mean,
yeah.
It is what it is. I can't take too much umbrage with it, because again, it mechanically it makes sense, even if it doesn't physically make sense.
Right. I kind of wish they did a plate of metal version as well. I think that would have been kind of cool. The plate of metal.
Might get one.
Maybe we will. I mean, it would have been cool if it just came out alongside this in the Rage of Elements, but it's I haven't read actually much of Rage of Elements, in not thoroughly anyway. But the plate of metal is apparently in a constant state of decay at this point. So it deals with a lot of rust and stuff as well, which I think is like, I mean, it seems like such an obvious thing to toss at a creature or a reinterpretation of this creature, especially with acid being a common theme already. So why not acid on metal? And that sort of stuff. I'm not sure where I would go with the light stuff per se with the metal creature, but I think it's like, it's almost seems like a missed opportunity to go, hey, we can do this with this guy as well. And it can also like turn into solid metal, or there's some sort of effect with the rust happening when you throw acid on, that could become dangerous to the party members. I mean, I'd have to really sit down and think about it to flesh it out. So I don't have any concrete ideas, especially mechanically. But I still think it would have been kind of cool. Almost makes me wonder if it would have been cool to just do a troll variation in every elemental plane, or maybe they were specifically avoiding doing that. If we do it for wood and metal, we ought to do it for fire. Blah, 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 and they didn't want to. But I mean, I still think exploring it with metal would be fun.
Yeah, I haven't touched Rage Elements yet, so I don't know anything about the planar discrepancies that they've introduced. They're sticking with with 6 planes, not 5. They're not getting rid of air.
Yeah, no, it's still air, water, earth, fire, and now metal and wood.
Yeah, okay. So it's like a combination of the Greek and the Chinese elements. So It really all depends on how they go about the plane of metal, I think, or how they have gone about the plane of metal. Because if they treat metal like a living, breathing thing, like we do not. Like, we treat metal as this manufactured artifact, or at least in my brain, that's what it is. Which probably has a lot to do with the fact that I'm rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender. That to me, metal is always going to be related to earth and fire. It's the middle ground between the two, as you can see in like the Chinese elemental plane. But having its own plane, but you're looking at things just like metal is made of metal bothers me.
But metal is naturally occurring, right? Or it is a natural element of the world. Like, there's a difference between metal found in the earth versus an alloy you've created to build a weapon. That's it's not the same thing. I agree with you. Like, fire and earth, whatever, like kind of mixed together. And is metal like kind of technically fall into the earth category, like that like in its natural state, or it's whatever. That is certainly debatable. But they are very separate things.
Well, metal is in our culture. Metal is specifically defined as ore that has been refined. So naturally occurring metal is ore. So if you just get a hunk of iron from the ground, it is an impure substance, and that is what we would refer to as ore. We would then refine it, and then after that refining process, usually introducing fire or some other chemical reagent, turns it into what we would know as metal. So there's that's why I need to see how they're dealing with the plane, because there is very much grounds for like naturally occurring, or an organic metal, like the Transformers, which is probably how they're doing the metal plane. But in my head, that's never really made a whole lot of sense. And I'm not super familiar with the Chinese elemental spectrum, so I don't really understand how metal is represented outside of the human body in that belief structure. So I would guess that
I think we both have homework now to read Rage of Elements, because I think it's a really interesting topic. But if I were to sort of make a guess at what Pizer's approach would have been, I probably would have taken a little bit of closer look at, say, the elemental table, periodic table, and just be like, elements, minerals, those things are separate. Minerals are more related to the earth inside of things. That's where we're getting our creatures like the Cavern Troll and the Zorn, and they love to consume gems. And that's
minerals
really
are
earth related.
Impure elements.
Sure. But, we're kind of getting into really particular semantics that, are not necessary for the creation of these things. It's like, it's an elemental plane of metal or fire or earth. It's not, I don't think it's something we have to like go too hard on the verisimilitude. It's
no. Yeah. It honestly sounds like, just from the brief description on Nethys, it sounds like it's more like T1000 kind of metal, like mercurial.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. I'm sure, like, because when you look at the plane of wood and you're thinking about like this creature, and there's a particular location. It's easy to forget that the elemental planes are finite. They're vast, but they don't go on forever. So there are sections within them. They are that have particular inhabitants and flora and fauna and sort of themes and atmospheres and that sort of thing. So I would wager that the elemental plane of metal, is going to be the same, like where some has like some parts have more focus on different types of metals and whether they're pure, impure, or maybe one section's more rusted than the other, and so on and so forth. But I don't know. I'm going to read it now.
Yeah.
It's next on my list.
yeah, I think so too.
I'm going to try and squeeze it in before part 3, everyone, and see if I have a little more insight.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much does it for today.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Shoot us an email with your thoughts at info@unchartednorth.com. Sounds right. .com.
Check the website.
Yeah, check the website. You can get a hold of us that way if you want to. If you want to direct message us. If that's not fast enough for you, you can always hop into our Discord at unchartednorth.com/Discord. That is a constantly live link. It'll shunt you right in there, and you can pretty much immediately after you agree to our terms and conditions, start chatting with us, which is where we always are. I'm in the Discord right now as we're recording this.
No wonder you're so distracted.
Right. All of our social medias are listed in the description below, both the YouTube and the audio form of this podcast. So you can hop over there if you want to see any more about us from there. If you want to get your hands on some merch, you can do that at unchartednorth.com/shop. You can visit encounterthis.ca for the show notes and the reading list for this episode. That is the document that we use to put this together, as well as all of the supplemental material. So Rage of Elements will be included this one. Those John Bauer artworks and links to those books will be included as well. If you're on the audio platform, rate and review on your platform of choice. That really helps us out, specifically Spotify and the Apple Podcasts, I think is what it's called now. I should probably stop saying iTunes. If you're on YouTube, hit the bell to be notified when new episodes drop. Otherwise, that thumbs up really helps us out. You can subscribe if you want to be notified when things happen, specifically when we go live, like Freeman is about to do later today. He's playing Baldur's Gate with a friend of the network, which has always been really neat and fun to watch as he goes along. I'm really whiffing on this today.
I can't say anything. I don't do them. Fair. I can't say shit.
Yeah. And if you really like this episode and want to help us make more episodes like this, you can head over to patreon.com/unchartednorth, where $5 a month will get you a handwritten thank you letter and some other goodies. And for $10 a month, you can suggest a creature for us to cover. We have recently given out secondary creatures to some of those long-standing patrons. So if you keep that going for quite a while, you might get to suggest another one, like Nixie and Skulltaker were both secondary suggestions. And on top of that, you will get a discount code for our merch store, which again is unchartednorth.com/shop. There's a bunch of shit over there with our compass on it that can be seen in Freeman's image over there, or our little guy Cruddy you can see on my hat, or in the link below. That's our name for the little D20 that looks like it's about to eat you. So
he is kind of like a troll himself, isn't he?
A little bit, yeah. But thank you so much for checking this one out. We will be back again in 2 weeks with Trollvember Part 3 with some items, some more creatures, and the good chunk of that body is going to be me talking about how they have essentially invaded our popular culture over the last 50 years. So come on back for that. We look forward to that one.
Make sure you tune in, because it's going to be metal.
God damn it.
Until next time, creatures, thanks, as always, for listening to Encounter This.